Alright, I'm going to show you guys how to do a quick demo about how to basically make a paper wheel. When you first take a look at this, if you're not familiar with paper modeling, this might seem pretty daunting, all these little parts to cut out, all the little zigzags on there. But if you use a hobby knife, otherwise is known as an X-Acto knife, then it's really no problem at all. And the trick is to hold the paper firmly, find a comfortable angle, and cut towards you. So in this case, I'll put the paper down. I'll cut all the angles going this way, like that. I'll continue on the other side, like this. Put the blade in where you want to start and go past where you want to end, like that. And then what I'll do is I'll turn it to the other angle, and then I'll just cut the other side. As you can see, this goes pretty quick. It's really easy. Way easier than using scissors. We can see that good. Just like that. There, so already it's only been, a couple seconds. I already have all the tabs cut out on that side. So to do the wheels, you could use a scissors to do the outside. Sometimes, depending on your skill level, that's a little bit easier, and I've done that. I used to do that a lot, but now I just use the hobby knife for everything. So to do that, basically, you just have to cut towards you like this, and then you turn it to get another bite on it. So you always have to cut towards you. Since it's a curve, you just have to keep turning it to make it easy. If you try to turn your arm and your body to make this curve cut, it's just going to be hard. So I go at least halfway that way, then I'll turn it and I'll start here at this other point. I'll cut around to meet the cut I just did. Once again, turning my paper like that. And then I'll make these little cuts here on the inside. In general, the easiest way to cut small areas or little parts is by using a hobby knife. You can get really fine detail a lot easier than with scissors, big bulky scissors. And if you have a long cut, you use a ruler to help it keep it straight. I don't have any long cuts on this. So here I am. I have this whole side cut out, and I'm going to work on this other side here. Nothing too complicated there, not rocket science. Cut the end, and I'll turn it, cut the other angle. And when it's something like a tab, you don't have to be as accurate as if it were a visible detail. So you don't have to be exactly on the line or anything. Just don't cut into the tread here. So just like that, I've cut all the tabs. So now I'm going to cut out this little detail here. And then turn it to keep going around the wheel here. Now you can see I'm using a cutting mat. It's got 1-inch squares all over it. Pretty handy thing. Otherwise you need some kind of surface to cut against, but a cutting mat is nice because it won't dull your blade too fast. And a lot of you are thinking, yeah, I don't have something like that, but if you're married and your wife sews, she might have a cutting mat. This is a sewing cutting mat that I have taken from my wife, whether she likes it or not. So just like that, the whole thing's cut out. Alright, so now we know how to use a hobby knife and cut small areas. A lot easier than with scissors. But before we do anything else to this wheel, the next step is to score these folds. So you do that with a straight edge. Put it along each side there, right at the base of where those tabs meet the tread. And very lightly you take your hobby knife and just drag it across there, just barely making a scratch in the paper. I'm going to turn it around and do the other side. Just like that. So now, when I'm ready to make the folds, these wheels will fold down and these tabs will fold over. Okay, for this next part, move the camera to the edge of the table. We're going to put a bend in this thing so that when we put it together, it goes together more easily. So I grab this open tab here, and then you drag it across the edge of a table or something. You see I'm doing this pretty firmly, so it puts a natural curve in it like that, all the way across. And then, like I say, on the website, you need to pre-fit things before you glue it. So I'm looking at this piece thinking, oh, how does this go together? So I can see that that is going to need to be glued to there, basically like that. So that's our next step. Alright, next step, gluing this first tab. So I use this kind of glue. Glue stick won't work. Any white glue will work. What you want to do is you want to always put it on pretty thinly. So take the nozzle here, squirt out just a little bit. Doesn't need much. And then using the tip of it, you just kind of spread it around real thin. If it's thin, it gets tacky real quick. And then it sticks faster and you don't have to hold this thing. You don't have to clamp it or anything. So, with that done, you take this around, you meet these two ends up, align them as best you can, get them as straight as possible, and then just pinch. Give it a good, put some pounds on that thing, pinch it real good, and that will stay while it dries. And after it's dried, we'll work that into a more circular shape. So I'm going to put this aside and take another one that's already dried. Okay, so I've cut it, I've scored it, and I've glued it right here, and now it's dry. So the next step is to take and bend all these tabs over. Now if we hadn't scored it, which means put this little scratch in it, we wouldn't be able to do this. This would be so hard and it would be inaccurate. It wouldn't turn out good at all. And believe me, I've forgotten to do this and it's a real pain in the ass. But so you bend all these tabs over like so. And you can see now these are going to glue like this to make a 3D wheel. So what we need to do now that we have the tabs bent over, is take our glue, our white glue, and we're going to glue where the tabs touch. So that basically means a ring around this. So I put a little bit of glue on there, spread it thin, like that. Then do the same to the other side. It's a lot easier than trying to glue each tab, just to put glue in a circle here. You want to get it right up to the edge or else you'll have gaps that will show up. So most of what I'm doing here is just spreading it. I'm just getting it, see if I can get it, see there? I'm just kind of spreading it around so that there's no big thick clumps anywhere. Alright, so the next part takes a little bit of work, but you've got a lot of time to work with this glue before it sets. You've probably got a whole minute. So what you do is you push it together and you'll look at it and you'll see where you need to adjust the inner ring so that it meets up with the outer edge as best as possible. And I'll show you a trick how to fix it if you don't get it quite right. So once you get it close all the way around where it's relatively circular, you get it as good as you can, set it down and put a weight on it. just like that. Let it dry for about 1 minute. Alright, I've jumped ahead a minute, and here's the final result. This thing is all dry. It's all hard. It's pretty solid. And so, to clean up these white edges a little bit, I like to color it with a marker, a black Sharpie. But there's even another way. If I've haven't got it quite right and there's a little bit hanging over, you can trim it off like this. Just give it a little trim. Just go in little straight lines, just like that. And so I've gotten the part that was sticking out right there. I've cut that off. And so here's another part I'll do. You don't have to get picky with this, but if you're spending a lot of time on a model, you want it to look good. So it's kind of bad here, so I'm going to crop that off. Just make short strokes towards you, holding the wheel firm. That's pretty good. One more spot maybe. Like that. Alright. Now, do a little bit of Sharpie work. So I've got my big fat Sharpie marker. You basically take this to the edges, like this. Blacken the white edges. Little tricks like this aren't necessary, but they do give a better appearance for the final result. The best markers for this are the ones that really are brand new and put out a lot of ink, because they'll soak into that crack. This one here is starting to go dry, so it's not going to last much longer. But so yeah. Paper wheel right there.